So this machine comes from the factory set at a 12.5 speed. I have the force at 52, but we're going to put a new blade in and figure out what our force needs to be for our cut. We can do test cuts, or we can just send the cut and watch it as it goes and adjust it in its first go. So usually it's got a little black cap on it. I don't keep my little black cap on it so that I can see when it's getting built up. You just grab it. Okay, so this is what an Allen Datagraph 60-degree blade looks like from the manufacturer. If you look at the angle on it, from the tip to the edge, that's the 60 degrees. There are also 45 and 30-degree plotter blades, but the 60-degree blades are best for cutting stencil. So this blade end sticks up, just plops it down in there, and it's held in there by a magnet. And if you have the little black cap, you can screw it back on. I want to make sure it's all the way down, tighten it up, and now we're going to adjust the force. I can use these little down arrows, or I can touch it and type it in. Usually with a new machine, the new force for a new blade is 40. Now, we can back up and do a test cut if we want to. So when you first turn on the machine, you cannot go forward once it is on. You can only go the opposite direction, like pull in from the back. So if you hit this ready button, it'll unload the machine. So now you can go any direction you want to. So I'm going to change it to fast. So I can use this extra stencil over here that's not going to roll right for an actual cut. But I can't cut anything until I reload the machine and it says ready. So because when I push the test cut button, it test cuts forward instead of backward, I have to roll the machine forward just a little bit. And then I can hit this test cut button. So I'm going to pull this inside piece. There we go. So that worked great. So let's do it a little bit less just so you can see how it looks if it's less. Okay, test cut. I feel like I'm doing it backwards. So that worked. Let's go to 35. Test cut. So that one is a lot harder to pick. So if you look closer, you can see where there's like a little bit of where the stencil tore off of the bottom. And here you can see that you don't have that. All right, so now I'm gonna bend it. So what we're looking for is that when we bend it, if we see white and we bend it more, it tears and you see yellow. So I'll do this side. See how there's white right there? But if I bend it more, you see yellow all the way through. That's great. So that's where it cut. But if I bend it, you see yellow. That's a perfect cut for the summertime. And this is at a force of 35 with a new blade. All right. So you see the real white part. And if I bend it, it stays white. So that's not enough. So I'm gonna bump it up to 38 and do another test cut. Okay. So this is our 38 test cut. Still not enough. Barely. It's tearing, but that took a little too long to tear. So that'll pass, but once we get about 4 cuts in, we'll need to go up. Maybe 5 4-foot dies, then we would need to go up. So let's go ahead and go up 2 more to 40. Test cut. And that tore a lot easier. You already see yellow. When we first turn our machine on, it remembers the force that we had it on. So as we cut, we're gonna cut this entire roll just because we need to. And we need to be able to check as it's cutting to make sure that the force is at the right place. So what we'll do is when it starts to cut something, and as that line cuts, we want to make sure that it's right. So at this point, we can either increase our pressure if we need to, or we can leave it where it's at, or back off. So I changed it. Then I can do the same thing on the back. If I have to keep checking it, I can come around to the back and just check that same line. And it's good, so I know my pressure's good. So that's a way to check it while it's cutting. And you can pause these machines and move them however you want to in the middle of a cut to check whatever you need to check, and then hit the pause button again and it'll go back to where it was. So don't be afraid of moving it. So we'll see at the beginning of the roll that it'll pull down on these holes, but we want to make sure that it doesn't jump off. If it jumps off, then we'll be in a mess. And then as you get about this far into the roll, it rides perfect. You do want to make sure that your sprockets don't tug left to right. That's so important on the front and on the back.